Welcome back to our attendees. Our next speaker, Mr. Omar Fawzy, Regional Sales Director at Network International. Speaking on today's topic, Sudan's evolving payments ecosystem and the emergence of internationally accepted cards. Over to you, Mr. Omar.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the introduction. Hello, everyone. We are here to talk from Network and to advise you about what's happening today when it comes to the introduction of internationally accepted cards in Sudan. I guess we have a lot to talk about. We have a lot of surprises and specifically what has been happening in Sudan for the past 2 years. So going to slide number 1, I think we should start to thank the government and thank for the people of Sudan for all the efforts done to ensure that the sanctions and the economic sanctions are finally lifted, which is now making Sudan a great environment and for all the investors and for all the international companies to come to Sudan and do business and be able to serve the Sudanese people. As we speak, it's finally the right time for the Sudanese people, after lifting the sanctions, to be able to live their life normally, to be able to use the same benefits or use the same features that everybody across the globe is using currently. I'm talking about booking their accommodations or their flights, buying things online, being able to move their money from outside of Sudan to inside of Sudan, and be able to issue an internationally accepted card that can be used everywhere across the globe. It's now the right time for the people to be able to live up to the standard that everyone across the globe is living. And I will talk also about Africa. Most of the people now in Africa can easily issue and get their prepaid or debit cards to be used everywhere across the globe. And this is what we are trying at Network to transfer to Sudan. And we are trying to enable as much banks as possible to have a license for international payment schemes, to be able to issue those cards and be able to use it outside. Coming from the same perspective, during the sanctions, what everybody thought that Sudan, when it comes to financial inclusion, there is no electronic payments happening in Sudan. People are not aware of what's happening outside and how they can utilize their cards and utilize cards and be able to do withdrawals and purchase transactions with a prepaid or a debit card. But when we came 3 years ago to Sudan, we were shocked. We have seen that the country is already developed, even despite the sanction. The central bank and the national switch and the government and the banks as well, they have done their best to ensure that the financial inclusion is happening. You will find people in Sudan, even if it's a local card and it's a local wallet and it's a local product, people are already aware and already have the culture of using a card or using a mobile payment transaction, which make it so easy now for people to adopt the usage and being able to use a card outside of Sudan. For an example, here in Cairo, as per the government figures or the shared figures from the government, we have 5 million Sudanese people living in Egypt. So you can imagine how those people will be able to use that card or a prepaid card or a debit card while keeping their money in Sudan. So the banks can use the money to develop the country and build more projects, be able to lend and give loans. The culture that the people already have in Sudan will just make the life easier. They just want the license, I will say it, the banks to be licensed and to be able to use, and the banks to be able to issue international accepted cards. Once they got the cards, people will easily be able to use it because they already got the culture, which makes the life easier for everyone. At this stage, the infrastructure is the most important thing. Getting a license is one of the essentials for the banks to be able to issue and accept those cards. But the infrastructure has to be there. When it comes to alternative channels like POS and ATMs, it is already there and it's already operating in Sudan. So people like me, people like tourists, that we want to ensure that there is an increasing number of tourists coming for Sudan or to Sudan, and increasing the revenue of hard currency coming inside the country. As the ATMs are already there in the POS, just the infrastructure and the license that the banks should get to be able to use or to accept those cards coming from outside on soil in Sudan. So if the infrastructure is there when it comes to hardware, The enabling the payments, the acceptance is the easiest part. So now we want to talk about two things. The issuing, which is enabling the Sudanese people or the people of Sudan to use their card outside and be able to get the money they have already deposited in banks like in Dubai, in Egypt, and in the US and different countries. They will pull this money back to Sudan. They will be able to issue a Visa or a MasterCard or whatever brand you may name it. And they will be able to use this money outside of Sudan anywhere they want and whenever they are traveling. While on the other hand, we want to talk about acceptance for people that are coming to Sudan. We usually coming with a bunch of cash money that's sitting on our pocket. And I can tell you it's risky. And then usually you have to look at where is your wallet every now and then while you're on a flight. While now being able to just have one card that you will be able to use everywhere to pay for your accommodation, to pay for your transportation, or even if you want to buy goods and you want to buy Sudanese local products before you go back home, you will be able to do it very easy. When it comes to infrastructure, there is a lot of facts that we need to cover and we need to talk about. Specifically, the ability of issuing a card, having the card management system up to the standards, having the cards issued as an EMV, which is still a struggle today in Sudan. Few banks are issuing EMV cards, while we want to transform Sudan in network to be working up to the standards and operating up to the standards, having the same technology happening everywhere in Europe, in the Middle East and Africa to be operating currently in Sudan. So the infrastructure for the banks to be able to issue those cards and issue those EMV cards and be able to accept those types of transactions on ground without in the least time possible. This is the role of Network International coming here. Network International already running a state-of-art solution and card management system in Switch, and which we call usually a consolidated platform. This platform is already hosting more than 160 banks. All their business, all their cards, end-to-end, debit, credit, prepaid cards. Those cards are actually hosted today and managed by Network International on our own platform. The platform is a PCI compliant since 2009, so it's easy, it's secured, and there is no more investment required for the banks to pay for security. NI is already covering this part 100%. All we need to do is for the banks to focus on the retail offering, on the products that they want to sell, the types of card they want to sell, whether it's a platinum card, it's a gold card, the benefits that they will give to the customers. While for the infrastructure, we will be able to 100% cover it. So fulfilling the demands, as we were speaking, the banks will have to start issuing the cards as soon as possible. The TPP model versus an in-house solution. What is the difference? For a TPP, we have implemented the issuer solutions, the acquiring solution tons of time. I would say serving 160 customers, 160 plus customers across more than 40 countries in Africa gives us the upper hand and the whole idea and power to get you live in less than 90 days sometimes. Issuing a prepaid card is something very easy for a company like Network, issuing more than 5 million prepaid cards across Africa today. Acceptance and driving different type of PS terminals. We have been doing that since 2001 and even before that across different regions. So in Network, we can do this 100% and we can drive any type of terminals. So having the banks fulfilling the demands and being able to provide the product the customer is looking for and the card holder and the Sudanese people are looking for can just happen in a blink of an eye or maybe in just as the least time possible, we can say. Okay, we need to talk also about the ROI or the return of investment. Will the financial institution make money outside of those projects, or will it just be getting the money outside? I can assure you that no. Whenever the card holders are performing transactions outside of Sudan, there will be an interchange revenue that will be coming to the banks to bring in actually in hard currency, in USDs, which will generate tons of revenues for those banks and will motivate them to ensure that they are issuing as much more cards as possible. This is not just for the issuing, but also for the acceptance. So whenever a bank is having a POS or an ATM, even in the airport, or maybe in an hotel, and the people coming from outside and they want to use the card, there will be an interchange revenue also coming for that merchant and for that bank as well. So the banks will be making money. They will be doing the return on investment, usually green, as how all the management usually likes it. What about network and what we were doing? As you can see here, just to give you a quick glance of how we are operating and where we are operating and when did we start. In 2004, we started locally in UAE, and we were serving only our shareholder, which was Emirates MBD. And as you can see through the years, and sorry, I'm talking as quickly as possible, but just to make sure my presentation fits the time, we started going independently from our own shareholder. We started operating and we started onboarding more banks in the GCC region. And also in 2001, we had Visa. Visa wanted to penetrate Africa and wanted to ensure that they have a company or a right hand for processing to be able to transfer the know-how from Europe and from the US to Africa, and to enable banks in the least time possible and in the least capex or investment possible to be able to build their own card offering and acceptance solution. So in 2001, Visa came to Egypt, and they opened a joint venture. It used to be called MSCC, which is now called Network Africa, and before it was called EMP. MSCC was there to support the Egyptian banks and also African banks to enable the card issuing and acquiring solutions. So we got our own card management system and our own switch up to the standards of the international payment schemes. And Network Africa, or MSCC back then, started penetrating all the countries of Africa. So starting from one country, which was Egypt back then in 2001, until we reached in 2020, as you can see, we are serving more than 50 countries across the MEA region, hosting their cards, driving their POS terminals and ATMs, and providing them with all the add-ons that we will speak about in the next slide. As you can see, the total population we are now trying to serve, or in the markets we have already penetrated, is more than 1.5 billion person or people that's sitting on those countries. Those countries are the under-penetrated when it comes to the financial inclusion and the people using the electronic payments and cards. As you can see, having banks in South Africa, down there, in Egypt, in North Africa, in West Africa, in Senegal, in Ghana, in Nigeria, Network International is everywhere. The acquisition was done in 2016 for MSCC, where Network International Group bought EMP Group, which was the leading card processor and provider for financial payment solution in Africa. So together we became the beast of processing. We became the biggest financial or the biggest third-party processor across the Middle East and Africa region. And I can assure you, the real power that we have in Africa, or actually in the MEA region, is that we can provide what's already happening in Dubai, in Egypt, in Kenya, in Nigeria. We can just transfer it to Sudan in less than 90 days. The same products that we are offering in here, we can offer it in here at no extra cost and at no extra effort. So usually we provide you with a product that comes up to the standard. We don't study from scratch. We don't implement from scratch. We tell you the success story when it comes to every product. You have a business analyst and a pre-sales supporting you. And then whenever you want to build a solution, you will build it up to the standard and according to the latest technology and the latest standards happening from everywhere in Africa. So where we are. And we have been talking about that. I don't want to take a long time in this, but we are providing a variety of issuing and acquiring solutions. Issuing, I'm talking about debit, credit, corporate, prepaid cards, whatever type of card you may name it. We have also a variety of Islamic credit cards that can be issued according to the Sharia and according to the Islamic Sharia and rules. And also we are serving more than 160 customers across 40 countries in Africa. So you can imagine Network International is complying with more than 40 central bank regulation and mandates. the ability of having our products matching every market and every demand and every mandate and every regulation gives us a great power to be able to serve you in the best way possible and be able to give you a product that you will be able to offer to your cardholders and your clients, which will be up to the latest standard in the globe. Network has supported the different financial institutions across Africa, and I would say different countries, to introduce the EMV card and the electronic payment solution for the first time. So for in Egypt, in Libya, in Somalia, in Rwanda, we have supported banks performing the first EMV transaction ever in the country, and also the accepting of the same transaction. And I'm talking about EMV, either it's a local card like Visa, which we have here in Cairo, or Visa or MasterCard or Union Pay International coming from China, American Express, JCB, all the payment schemes you may imagine. Also, Network International have a principal member when it comes to Visa and MasterCard. So the banks, whenever a bank wants to, or a Fintech that wants to issue a card or wants to have a license to be able to issue Visa or MasterCard cards, and I will be able to support the banks to sponsor those banks with the license and be able to get the card product issued in no time. When I say the license, as you know, for the Sudanese banks are not yet able to open banks in the USA, to open bank accounts in the USA to manage the settlement. So NI is there to help. We already got our bank accounts. We are already sponsoring more than 20 affiliate banks across Africa, here in Cairo, in Rwanda, in Sudan, where we have introduced the first MasterCard branded card through Faisal Islamic Bank. And now you can just buy the card anywhere whenever you pass by the FIB branch to get your own card. So sponsoring those banks is just an easy task. Whenever you fulfill all the requirements, MasterCard and Visa and through Network International, we can get you the license or the financial institution license to issue and acquire Visa or MasterCard cards in less than 1 month, in less than 3 weeks sometimes. You can just do it. We can start the implementation. So Network will be able to serve you from end to and provide you with an end-to-end service, starting from the license itself and then until the end product that we will give to the customer, whether it's a card or even the terminal that will be accepting this card. Quickly, just to give you another glance about Network and try to give you a figure of what we're doing. We are, when it comes to Middle East and Africa, we are providing, we are number one when it comes to issuer solution. Across Middle East and Africa, we are serving more than 200 financial institutions, with at least 165 in Africa. The normal duration for our customers and the turnover for our customers is usually 17 years. So we'll find banks working with us since 2001, 2013, and still giving their trust to us and still loyal to us and still using our services versus in-house solutions or versus other competitors. The more than 200 institutions we are serving are coming in more than 50 countries. And today, I can say proudly, we are processing per year more than 500 million transactions. And I'm talking about different types of transactions, even we sometimes exceed this number. So I'm talking about e-commerce transaction, issuer transaction, POS and ATM transactions. Also, per year, we are issuing more than 16 million cards, different from Visa, MasterCard, local, all of them are EMV. I can say proudly, we're no longer issuing magnetic cards, but the 16 million cards are coming with different payment schemes, with different types of cards and different countries and different markets. What we can offer in Sudan and what we are planning to offer in Sudan. In Sudan, we are offering our outsourcing model, which is the issuing and acquiring solution. When it comes to card issuing as a debit, we integrate with any core banking system you may imagine. When it comes to prepaid card, we can also manage it 100% and we do the hosting for it. And I'm talking about end-to-end hosting and end-to-end operations. For an example, the card operations, the chargeback, the dispute management, the settlement, the reconciliation with the payment scheme. Network can put you ahead while utilizing its service and put you ahead with giving you the add-ons that you may think of. When it comes to 3D secure, to secure online transactions, Network can provide you with such service, enabling the cardholders to generate their own PIN number through mobile applications or ATMs or even a PIN pad. NI can support you with this. When it comes to integration with mobile banking and internet banking, NI platform can integrate with any alternative channel through a state-of-art or a set of APIs that we depend on. Just develop your mobile application or even use our own channels, and you will be able to have your customers using their or actually reviewing their history, checking their balance history, or performing different type of transfers using your own internet banking, or that we will be able to provide you. And same for the mobile banking. When it comes to the sponsoring, as we said, NI is able to sponsor banks to issue and acquire both Visa and MasterCard transactions. We're able to get you the acquiring and the issuing license in no time, be able to manage the settlement on your behalf, and be able to provide you with the end-to-end service 100%. The comprehensive solution I was talking about, and usually we say it's an end-to-end service. It starts from the merchant acquiring to the issuing of cards. As you can see, the full suite is here, enabling the e-commerce acquiring, the MPOS acquiring, the POS acquiring itself, or even integrating your card and your bank accounts with the wallet. This is something we have been doing since the past 21 years, or even more than that. Issuing of all types of cards when it comes to Visa, MasterCard, a debit, a credit, a prepaid, Islamic, or even providing you with the add-ons that will come following the issuing of the cards, like the installment module, easy payment plans, the loyalty and rewards, and the cashback. Everything that's happening across Africa, and all the products that are up and running across Africa will be there. Those products will be coming with a training from a business perspective and a back office and a technical perspective. So Network will not be just a provider for the solution, but will be also a provider and will let you know how to use the solution, and will let the bank staff learn how to sell an international accepted card, or how to go and deal with a merchant, or how to provide the solution in the least time possible. As you can see, the tokenization is something we have been offering across Sudan, and I'm sorry, not Sudan, but across Africa and Middle East since long time. When it comes to Apple Pay, to Google Pay, to Alipay, to Samsung Pay, we have been providing this service for a long time now. And whenever it's ready and the central bank locally accept or enable it, we will definitely be able to offer you the tokenization, which I'm sure with how the culture of electronic payments is happening in Sudan and taking place, and how the people can easily adopt, use cards, and even paying their bills. I think it will be so easy for people to be able to pay with the tokenization or through the Apple Pay or the Google Pay. Once we have this working, we will be able to just transfer for you the service and the technology in no time, or the least time possible. So when it comes to the card management system, the switching, the API platform, as I was saying, we have a card management system supporting all types of cards, EMV, and for sure all types of brands. And it issues more than 150 types of report and file that can help you build your business 100%. Not just that, but also we have our own intelligence and business intelligence solution that will be embedded and offered to you in no time. And those solutions help you understand how your customers are consuming or how they are utilizing their cards. What's the types of transactions they're using the most? How they are, when they put their deposits, how they use the cards in every mean. So it will let you be able to build more marketing solutions, and from a marketing perspective, it will help you understand what will be the best solution fitting your market and fitting your type of customers. The switching, when it comes to our switch, we have a state-of-art monitoring solution to monitor the ATMs and POS terminals, and we have our own monitoring team sitting 24/7 monitoring the availability of ATMs and POS, because we have to ensure that our own ATMs or the ATMs operating, or the availability of the service itself, is up and running according to our service level agreements, which proudly we say it's exceeding the 99% per annum. So our service is there, our interfaces are there, our host is there, and we are using a tier 4 data center. I can say it's one of a kind in Africa. This tier 4 data center makes you trusting Network International, and makes your business safe, and makes you just depend on NI to be able to operate your service and have your customers traveling everywhere to use their card, and even your terminals or your e-commerce merchants to be able to accept transactions 24/7 with a very, very minor downtime sometimes. And it will say it will never exceed an 0.5% per year. The API platform, we have the state-of-art API platform that will enable your cardholders to perform transactions anywhere. When I said anywhere, I would say that you will enable your cardholders, whenever they get their card, they will be able to generate their PIN. They will be able to top up their prepaid card. They will be able to instantly activate their card on the mobile application without the need to go to the branch or call the customer service to do that. So we provide you with a state-of-art API platform that will just enable fintechs and banks to run a branchless service. For an example, you give a card to the cardholder or to the client, and you will ask him not to come even again to the branch. He will be able to top up his card through the mobile application, generate his own new PIN whenever he receives the card, and he can also activate it. He can transfer money from a card to card or from an account to account using the same API. So assuring you, you will not even need to build more branches. You will just be able, with the state-of-art API platform, to use the digital and offer the digital service in the easiest way possible and the most convenient way to your customers. The fraud solutions, we are running fraud solutions and fraud management since more than 20 years. And this is one of the most essential, and actually the essential part of the business, is to ensure that the business is secured 100%. And this is one of the main things that the Sudanese market has to focus about, and the financial institutions. And I'm sure the central bank instructions and mandates are usually covering this 100%. So when it comes to fraud solutions, we have two state-of-art solutions, a near time and a near real time, that can cover 100% the management of fraud and can ensure protecting the bank business and the money of the people 100% or almost 100% from any fraudulent case. Briefly, and just to recap what we're talking about, the card solutions, whatever type of card you may think of in Sudan, we will be able to support. Whether it's the co-branded card, the charge card, an Islamic credit card, and even a credit card that's coming with an easy payment plan to support the people pay for goods while settling on installments with or without an interest, it can be done. Also, the multi-currency card, where you will be enabling the card holder to come and deposit money in their card. It can be in euro, it can be in USD, it can be even in sterling, while using one plastic card, and they can choose which card to be utilized. This is doable, and we will transfer you the same technology we have been offering everywhere across Africa today and Middle East as well. So this is not new. We have done it, and we will just transfer it to you. Even a salary prepaid card, this is something doable, and it's the normal prepaid cards issued today in Sudan. A lot of variety of solutions that we can offer comes from instant issuance, where you will be able, as a card holder, to go fill a KYC form in the bank, deposit the money, and get the card in less than 10 minutes while you're coming out of the branch. You don't need to wait for 2 weeks, 1 week to get your card, just 15 minutes, and you will get your name printed on the card. Card control services, which is one of the fraud management controls or services that can enable the card holder himself to be able to select where the card will be operating. Maybe he's traveling to the US or to Egypt, and you want his card to work over there. He doesn't have to call the customer service. He will just go to the mobile application and enable it. The same for where he can utilize the card, whether it's a POS or ATM or even over the internet. This is something that we can definitely enable in the least time possible, and transferring to you the technology coming from the most developed countries when it comes to electronic payments. The easy payment plans, which I can say today in Cairo, it's product number 1, enabling people to go and buy products and pay on installments or with an easy payment plan. This is supporting the nation and supporting the people getting married, or the people who want to buy a computer, or students who want to buy a computer, or to learn and to be able to study. Those programs, we provide you with a state-of-art programs that can definitely fit the demand of your nation or the people in Sudan. The electronic bill presentation, and it's something we can just integrate with any biller you may imagine. And I know this is happening easily today in Sudan. And people are paying for their utilization of electricity or maybe water sometimes, and they can pay for it electronically. And this is something network can definitely help you to do. Whether you are a merchant or you are a biller or you are a bank that want to enable this to be done through your ATM or even your mobile banking application. When it comes to acquiring, we are not just a processor, but when it comes to acquiring in the UAE, whenever you go to pay any transaction over a POS, you will find the POS named NI or network, and you will find that the receipt is coming with the network logo, because in UAE and in Jordan, we are an acquirer. We have an acquiring license from the central bank. We have our own terminals. We have our own merchant relations, and even we have our own hardware terminal that we manufacture for our own selves. So we are the number one Middle East when it comes to merchant solutions. We have more than 19% market share in the MEA region when it comes to acquiring. We have our own direct relations with more than 80,000 merchants across the UAE and across the 50 countries. We are processing more than $33 billion transactions per year sometimes. And sometimes it can be less than what you can imagine, like written in the presentation, and less than less than a second. So, and we can support up to more than 140 currencies. We can have the POS terminal or the e-commerce payment gateway accepting transaction in local currencies or in USD or sterling or whatever the currency you may be looking for. So we transfer the technology that we are using our own selves in the UAE, and in Jordan we transfer to actually our clients in Africa. So whatever happening today in the UAE, whatever a service like DCC, when it comes to as a revenue generating a service for the acquirers, where you will be able to ask your card holder or ask the card holder if he want to settle the transaction in the local currency or in a foreign currency, or maybe his home currency. We can definitely enable this, and it generates tons of revenues for the acquirer themselves. So whatever happening and the latest standards of acquiring happening everywhere across the globe, we will be able to offer it to you. The same for the acceptance of different payment schemes. We provide the acceptance of MasterCard, Visa, UnionPay, JCB, American Express, Diners Club International, or even tokenization. We definitely can accept those transactions on your terminals. So whenever we can get the license to the bank, we will be able also to have the acceptance of those transactions, whether on the ATM or the POS or even on the e-commerce payment gateway. I hope my presentation have covered what we can offer and what we are trying to offer today in Sudan. We are trying to change the life of Sudanese people. We are trying as much as we can, like we did in many countries in Africa, to enable the people to use their money everywhere, to get their money from the bank accounts outside of Sudan where they're keeping the money to be deposited in the banks or the Sudanese banks. And those people will be able to live up to the standard. They will be able to get a card, they will be able to travel abroad, students will be able to pay for the books or even for the universities or whatever type of transaction they want to do. And even travelers and business people will be able to get one card, be able to use it everywhere across the globe. And same for merchants, and instead of having people coming from outside of Sudan carrying a bunch of cash and have to admit what is the number of cash and what's the amount of money they carry in their wallet, they will be able to just go to Sudan, stay for more than 10 weeks if they want, and pay for their accommodation with a prepaid or a debit card or whatever card you may need. And still, with the central bank support, with the national switch support, with the trade initiatives coming from the government to ensure that the exchange rate is kept politely, as we usually say in Arabic, whenever the forex rate is kept safely and not changing and there is no black market, using those cards will be so easy. We want to generate as much revenues as we can for the Sudanese people. We want to support the Sudanese banks to ensure getting as much hard currency as they can from people visiting Sudan tourists or even from Sudanese people using their card outside of Sudan. Thank you so much for your time. We will be available in our own exhibition, and we'll be able to answer your questions at any time. Please visit our booth and please raise any questions. You have all our contact details, and we are visiting Sudan all the time. We have local presence in Sudan, and we are there to meet you and help you and discuss more in depth. Thank you so much for the presentation.
Omar, one question for you from there are many questions, but one of the question is from Gurvan. Do you provide soft POS solution?
Yes, we are able to drive. We are able to drive soft POS solution when we are able to drive MPOS, and we are able to drive each and every type of POS hardware or not even a hardware coming from any manufacturers. It all depends on if the technology is sitting today in Sudan and the POS terminals that can meet the standards of the payment schemes and be PCI compliant and be able to, as I said, meet the standards of the payment schemes. Definitely we can drive it and we can have the solution up and running in the least time possible and with the less cost possible, accepting different type of transaction or different payment schemes like Visa, MasterCard, and UPI, JCB, Amex, and also I'm talking about contact or contactless transactions for sure.
All right. So for more questions to be asked, Mr. Omar will be at the exhibition booth. Please go visit him and his team and check all the products and services. Thank you very much, Mr. Omar.
Thank you so much.
Next time.